warm welcome from Second Eighth Week Ministries. I am your presentation host, Dr. Maria von Andersack. I'm going to give a short teaching about the second eighth week and God's timeline and where we are at now and what we can expect to happen next. Jesus is coming back soon for a pure and spotless church, but first he is taking the church through the final transition. The time of this transition is called the second eighth week. So let's learn all we can about God's timeline and what we need to do to prepare ourselves for the coming of the Lord. Let's make ready our hearts for Him. We're going to begin by reading from the book of Enoch. You might ask, who is Enoch? Is he in the Bible? The Bible says, "And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied." Jude 1:14. The books of Enoch were studied by the early church and are still taught in many seminary schools today. Our reading is taken from 1 Enoch, chapter 91, verses 12 through 17. "Then after that there shall occur the second eighth week, the week of righteousness. A sword shall be given to it, in order that judgment shall be executed in righteousness on the oppressors, and sinners shall be delivered into the hands of the righteous. At its completion they shall acquire great things through their righteousness. A house shall be built for the great King, who is Jesus, in glory forevermore. Then after that, in the ninth week, righteous judgment shall be revealed to the whole world. All the deeds of the sinners shall depart from upon the whole earth and be written off for eternal destruction, and all people shall direct their sight to the path of uprightness. Then after this matter, on the 10th week, in the 7th part, there shall be the eternal judgment, and it shall be executed by the angels of the eternal heaven, the great judgment which emanates from all the angels. The first heaven shall depart and pass away, a new heaven shall appear, and all the powers of heaven shall shine forever, sevenfold. Then after that there shall be many weeks without number forever. It shall be a time of goodness and righteousness, and sin shall no more be heard of forever." God divided time into days and weeks to show the progression of His plan. This chart illustrates the days of God's calendar. As we read in 2 Peter 3:8, 1,000 years is as one day. We are here on the timeline, give or take a few years depending on the accuracy of the calendar you're using. History has seen 4,000 years before Christ, and we are here 2,000 years after His resurrection. In terms of days, the 6th day just ended, and we are ready to enter into the 7th day, which is the 1,000-year reign of Christ upon the earth. The earth will at last enter into a period of rest. 7,000 years equals 7 days. God created the earth in 6 days and rested the 7th day, thus symbolizing that He predetermined 6 days for His plan to unfold upon the earth and assigned the 7th day as His rest. The 8th day begins eternity, just as the 8th day of the week signifies the beginning of a new week. When God signified His plan through the weeks, rather than represent a 1,000-year time span, each week centered on a biblical person and the unfolding of God's plan through that person. We know what the Bible says about each of these patriarchs and how God's plan unfolded through them. The first week, Enoch. Genesis 5:24. "And Enoch walked with God, and was not, for God took him." The second week, Noah. Genesis 6:17 and 18. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with you will I establish my covenant. And you shall come into the ark, you and your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. The third week is Abraham. Genesis 17:5. Neither shall your name any more be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made you. The fourth week is Moses. Exodus 3:2. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. The fifth week is David. 1 Samuel 16:13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. The eighth week is Jesus Christ. Now we'll be studying this week in more detail and learn why God split the eighth week into two parts. The sixth week is the darkness of the church. And we will be studying this week also in more detail, looking at the symbolism God uses to teach us about this time, and learn why the sixth week is inserted between the first eighth week and the second eighth week. The seventh week is the tribulation. Reading from Revelation chapter 6, verses 16 and 17. And they said to the mountains and to the rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? The ninth week is the millennial reign of Christ. Revelation 20, verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. The 10th week is eternity. Revelation 21, verses 1 through 5.